Welcome back to the Beantown Phoenix. I am Archer Gaming, and this is our OOTP25 playthrough with the Boston Red Sox. As you can see, it is July 11th already. I went ahead and simmed through up to the first year player draft, and some very interesting things happened. The reason that I simmed this far ahead is because if we look at info and team stats, um, there was a point in the season where we were not looking very good. We were, by the end of April, we were 8 games adrift in the division. And then we had a really good May, and I thought, well, okay, probably a fluke. And then we had a really good June. And the reason for all of this is that our offense has massively overperformed expectations. Our defense is bad, and our pitching is bad. Our ERA is last in the AL, and I would wager that it's pretty close to last, if not last. Uh, well, maybe second to last. The Rockies are probably worse, but other than them, I think we are pretty close to the bottom of the rankings. Now, if we take a look at the standings here, you can see that we are just half a game out of a wild card and 2 games out of the division. That's ahead of schedule. um, now, we are in a bit of an injury mood at the moment. We have Story, Duran, and Sedano Rafaela all out, um, which is not great. Duran, we don't even know when he'll be back. Story's another 4 weeks. Rafael has already been out 2 weeks, and he's going to be out a further week. And it's exposed that we don't have a ton of depth, right? For example, we had to call up Corey Rozier to play center. He's fine, and like everyone, he is for some reason just hitting. But this is not the guy who I really want to be our backup center fielder, if I can help it. And our pitching has been basically as bad as we've expected. Only one person in our rotation has an ERA below 5. That's Tanner Houck, and it is just barely. You could argue that he may even be being a bit lucky. He has a 1.39 whip, 1.5 home runs per 9. That is not a good combo. Kenley Jansen has been really good in the bullpen, as has Isaiah Campbell. Nobody else has really been good, which is actually a little surprising, but not that much. You'd think maybe one or two of them would be having sort of a better season, but no, not the case. So pitching terrible, but if we go to our lineup and we take a look at our batting stats here, you can see that everyone is hitting just about. So Connor Wong is our backup catcher, um, and he has been lighting it up. Big BABIP. Corey Rozier, just a couple games, lighting it up, big BABIP. Tristan Casas, lighting it up the whole season, also a pretty high BABIP. Wilyer Abreu has definitely earned how well he's been playing, which is kind of surprising to me. He doesn't have really any standout attribute other than his eye at the plate, which that has been showcased, but I'm not entirely sure the rest of it is sustainable, even if the stats indicate that it is. Masataka Yoshida has been incredible. He also has a really high BABIP. Tyler O'Neill, same story. The only one without a high BABIP is somebody who's also performing really well, which is Rafael Devers, but that's no surprise. He also seems to have improved his defense a little bit, which is heartening. We hope he can keep that up. Emmanuel Valdez is also hitting great, also with a really high BABIP. Ref Snyder is not hitting great, but he has a high BABIP. So even some of these guys down here that are not hitting, and a lot of these are injury replacements, they have a really high BABIP. So Reese McGuire, for example. Now, part of that, I imagine, is the park, right? Because it does have a slight boost to average and to doubles and to triples. With that being said, though, it does feel a little precarious. And that puts us in a bit of a tough spot. Because we could try to go for it and hope that our offense holds this incredible hot streak. Or we can kind of half go for it and trade for maybe like a starting pitcher or 2 relievers or something like that. and just kind of, maybe go in for a wild card, maybe try to just hang around in the division. And, otherwise it might fall apart by the end of the month and we might be looking to sell. So this could go a lot of different ways. Before we get to all of that, it's time for the first year player draft. Now, we do not have a very high pick. So we're not going to be getting any of these guys, but I did just want to point out something that is a little bit interesting to me, and I'm not sure it's a good thing. So I currently have a filter on that is your work ethic isn't low and your potential is at least 3 stars. The first couple of draft classes, which are made up of real players, right? Like Connor Griffin, Travis Bazana, Charlie Condon, those are real players, right? And OTP seems to have rated them pretty low, but also my scout is saying that somebody with like 65 power and 50 everything else is going to be 3 stars. So there's something a bit strange going on with that because I know that this same exact scout, when I have gone in on other playthroughs, 5 years in, when the players are just auto generated, I'm seeing, 10 guys with 5-star potential and 18 guys with 4 stars and 3 stars, etc. So there just seems to be sort of a lack of high end. I don't know if that's just like, well, we know more about them, and so we're not guessworking as much, right? Like maybe he really will develop into these ratings a little bit more than maybe some of the other draft classes where somebody might have, 70 contact potential and that makes them 5 stars, but the likelihood of them reaching that is maybe not super good. So, um, I'm not sure. I do think that it has made it a little bit harder to, at the very least, get other teams to trade for some of these players. And I do think it's made it a bit harder to go and build from the draft as well, at least for those first couple of years. So that's something that we're going to have to keep aware of and something that we're going to have to navigate our way through. But for now, I think we're just going to auto draft up until our pick. Obviously, all of the 4-star and 3-star players are gone. Leaves us with a fairly long list of 2.5-star players. Now, 2.5-star players are, in my opinion, that should be sort of like your second division regular, right? So you're good enough to be on the bench on a winning team, probably not good enough to start for them, but good enough to start for, say, the A's. Um, I'm not seeing anybody I hugely like, just off of a quick scan of their batting ratings. Let's see. Yeah, nobody with anything that looks fairly standout, but I do want to look at the pitchers as well, especially since pitching is what we have struggled with. Not the pitching ratings, though, just the pitching potential. So if we take a look there, this is a bit more interesting. So, for example, we have Owen Hall. I don't know how this is a 2.5-star player, right? We're talking about plus stuff, average movement, above average control. Looks like a really good player. Um, yeah, throws 93 to 95, 3/4 arm slot. Just kind of and maybe he's just kind of a dude, like not anything crazy. Um, but I like the look of him. He is a really hard sign because he's going to want about 2 million over slot. Might make things a little bit hard on the budget, but not anything that can't be solved necessarily. Then we have Trey Gregory Alford. Obviously, the control is lacking, but again, maybe that's somewhere we could use the development lab and take somebody with a high work ethic and say, hey, let's bring this guy in, bump up his control, and all of a sudden we've got a viable starter on our hands. Um, let's take a look at just college players, though, that we think might be a little bit closer to their potential and a little bit easier to project. We have Josh Hartle here. Really good control already. If we compare him to, let's say, double A, I wonder what that'll look like. Yeah, already 40s and 45s across the board, having not touched a developmental league baseball. Not a great arsenal. Um, this is something where, again, maybe the development lab comes in. We can improve a pitch. Also doesn't throw very hard. Maybe we could improve the velocity. So I think there's potentially something there with Josh Hartle. Um, Darren Horn, I think he's just sort of Josh Hartle, but less interesting. So I'm not going to think too much about that. So let's go ahead and just think about Josh Hartle versus. I think probably we should shoot for Owen Hall if we were going to take a high schooler. They're both going to want over slot. Owen Hall a little bit more. I lean toward the high potential, but if we look at him compared to the ACL, we'll see that he's just like not even close. Um, this is another kind of strange thing. I don't know if this is just this year or if it's sort of always been this way and I just haven't been paying as much attention. But I don't know why a lot of these young players are so underdeveloped. It used to be more just the international players as far as I remember, but I've seen guys like struggle in rookie ball for like 4 years before earning the call up to A ball as like a hitter, and that I don't think used to happen a ton. So I wonder if, like I said, we compare him to the ACL and he's not really there. Is that going to take so long that like it's maybe not worth it? And we maybe have less good play to work with Josh Hartle, but a guy who might actually impact the big league club before our window is up. Yeah, like this guy could go into A ball and do pretty well right away. So I think that's the direction we're going to go in, and it saves a little bit of bonus money. So let's go ahead and draft Josh Hartle. That's our first draft pick. Awesome. Uh, get a little achievement there. We are in challenge mode. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we are locked into the game in that way. Oh wow, how did I miss William Schmidt? Wow, he looks actually really good. Hold on. I got immediately distracted by this guy. Um, yeah, good, decent enough stamina. Could even try to bump his velocity potentially. Um, could hack it just about in the ACL, so he's probably not going to go there and just get lit up and lose all of his confidence. Yeah, I mean, 70 stuff, 50 movement, 50 control. I mean, an 80 grade curveball can take you a long way. Just ask Adam Wainwright. So I like the look of that a lot. I don't know how I missed it. Um, and yeah, I don't know that I really. I looked at the bats earlier and I just didn't really see anything that caught my eye. Like Jeff Laugie? I don't know. You're probably a real person, so I apologize, but I don't know how to say your name. Second base prospect, probably, with like decent contact, but it's not going to be any impact. Don't love that. Don't really want to draft like a first baseman that doesn't have a awesome bat. Um, Anthony Trelongo is like pretty good, honestly. I would consider it, but the defense is bad. So I think we're just going to go pitcher again, and I'm just going to go straight in on William Schmidt unless Ryan Sloan convinces me that he's better. Yeah, not really. Okay. William Schmidt, welcome to the organization. So that gives us kind of two routes, right? We have a high school pitcher that has a really high ceiling but will need development help. And then we have a college pitcher who maybe not so much. Let's go ahead and just look at default view. So, yeah, the only guys left with a lot of potential, and I mean, a lot is maybe being kind, but 2.5 stars of potential are pitchers, it looks like. And if we were gonna go for a bat, yeah, I'm not loving that yet. So I think we're gonna try to go back to the pitching well and maybe try to see if we can do some sort of sneaky overslot kind of double tap thing. So yeah, like this kid, right? 18 years old, 5'10, throwing 87, 89. I would think that that's going to tick up, right? Lazaro Calera, I think we talked about him earlier. Or if we didn't, someone similar who just doesn't quite have the control. Really good curveball, really good fastball. I mean, that's a mix you can kind of lean on. I think we might try to get both of them. I'm guessing because you have worse signability, I'm guessing you're going to be less sought after, actually. So let's go with Calera or Collera first. And Talon Bell is indeed there. So those might be a little bit over slot. And then let's see what our scout thinks, because we are into the land of the 2-star players. Yeah, this shortstop looks fine. um, yeah, let's go with that. And then I just want to see. So some of these guys are already 2-stars, but like, do I care? Like, I don't really want that. So I think with that said, and this might happen a couple of times in these FYPDs when we are doing it before the draft classes get generated. I think we're just going to let our scout handle the rest of the draft. I think we've gotten some really nice players. We can go negotiate with them and try to make sure that we get them. So we are a little bit over slot on Hartle. And then Schmidt just wants the slot. And actually, Calera and Talon Bell just want the slot. So those are pretty easy. And then we went under slot pretty big time with our 5th round pick so that we could afford Hartle. Whoops, didn't even offer him anything. Johnny King is a guy that my scout wants to sign. I could see it. What does he want though? 650? I think we can make that happen. I think we can make that happen for sure. Nicholas Montgomery, yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to care about that one. So, all right. Hopefully that is some pitching added to the organization. At the very least, I think Hartle has a pretty good chance of being like a 4-starter. But yeah, we'll have to see how that one plays out. We'll take a look at them a little bit more in the offseason as we try to use our player development. And now we're going to go ahead and play to the trade deadline. So we're going to sim through these. We're playing Kansas City right now on the 13th of July. Rafael Devers got selected to the All-Star team. No surprise there. And wow, a 26-game hit streak by Yoshida. That's very impressive. I am impressed. Let's take a look at the All-Star game rosters and just sort of, I'll scroll through these fairly quickly, but you can always pause if you want. I'm just going to see how many Red Sox we have. Looks like 2. Yeah, no surprise we don't have any pitchers. But Devers makes it, and so does Yoshida. So on the NL side of things, these are your All-Stars. Nobody that looks totally out of place. Jesus Sanchez is a bit weird, but Miami may not have had anybody else that was really worthy of it. So I think that should be okay. So let's go ahead and move through the All-Star break. We will. Awesome. Just because this is a 3-week injury, generally anything longer than 3 weeks, I've found that a rehab assignment, even if it's only like 10 days or something, can be quite helpful in just making sure they don't come back and immediately get re-injured. Pitchers, I almost always send on a rehab assignment, regardless of length, but hitters, I definitely think it's nice to get their feet wet in the minors. Um, all right. So we lose the series with LA. We won the series with KC. So now it's at Colorado, which can be kind of a tough place to play sometimes, but our offense should be good enough to carry us. Jaron Duran, okay. Another rehab assignment for him. Probably 3 more days until we bring back Rafaela. Nice sweep there in Colorado. And we are second in the AL East. So, Brennan Bernardino. Oh, up here. Yeah, we'll just send you on a rehab assignment. So we're getting a lot of players back. We did just lose to the Yankees, which is not ideal. And we lose again to the Yankees. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Rafaela now, which means that we can send Rozier down. And then Duran. Yeah, Duran has 6 more days, so he won't be back before the trade deadline. Let's play this last game against New York, and then let's take stock. Okay, so we don't get swept. That's nice. Nick Pavetta wants an extension. I'm not really looking to extend a guy with a 6.3 ERA, if I'm being honest. So we'll have to wait on that one. I'm just going to go to the trade block. And I'm just going to take all of this off. I was looking for a very particular type of player. Now, there is Juan Soto. Are the Yankees bad? Wow. Yeah, that is, yeah, I guess maybe you would consider it. That's pretty crazy. We're in a wild card spot, so um, this does present some interesting questions. I mean, this could end up be kind of like one last hurrah of our older players. Like, is Yoshida going to be this good next year? Probably not. We're losing some pitching. So, I mean, I see the argument, and we can go for the division. Don't know if we're going to be able to afford Juan Soto. Although I would love to, obviously. If only to just have him DH or something. That bad in the lineup is pretty lethal. There's also Paul Goldschmidt on the market. We don't really need a first baseman, so that one's not as appealing to me. Willie Adames is very interesting to me, though. His contract expires. He's compensation eligible as well. Well, he won't be after he gets traded to us, I suppose. But I mean, I think he's a heck of a lot better than Trevor Story. Um, so that's maybe a way to safeguard against some offensive regression, is add a little bit of defensive ballast, while also adding potentially a better bat. Julian Merriweather, I think, is the type of guy we should be going after. He hasn't had the greatest season with the Cubs so far, but I think that he's better than anybody we probably have. Even if he's just sort of like a 32-year-old rental, I think that that could be valuable to us. So let's really think about this. Soto would be nice. I think Soto is going to require probably one of Meyer or Anthony. I just don't know if I'm willing to do that. I lean towards thinking I'm not willing to do that, honestly. Yeah. So we might check in on him, but I doubt we're really headed for a date with him. Merriweather should be basically free, so I'm not worried about that one. I think we should definitely go and get him. Adames, I think we'll probably have to give up Blaze or Teal. We might be able to get around it. So I think he would be a good pickup. Then Grissom could move over to second or to the bench, honestly. One or the other. Gives us a little bit of ballast, maybe makes our lineup a bit more balanced as well. Because isn't he... He is... Yeah, he's a righty. So, again, that's kind of... With our lefty issue, that maybe makes some sense. On the pitching side of things, obviously we need a starter. Bayo has turned it around a bit, as has Cutter Crawford. Everybody else looks pretty terrible. But maybe one of these guys looks better in the bullpen and moves, for example, somebody like Lucas Luetge out. I think that could be good. I don't know what pitchers are going to fill that role for us, though. Like, is Jose Quintana a guy who's going to move the needle? I have my doubts. Hendricks, Blackburn, like these are all going to be kind of similar players available at the deadline. So, I don't know. Let's go ahead and try for Merriweather first, because I think that's going to be easiest. I'll just make it work now. I mean, I could give you any of these. I don't really care. Probably just Chris Martin though, because whatever. Julian Merriweather is an upgrade on him. We don't have to clear a roster spot. That's great. Let's take a look at Adames and see what they might be wanting for him. I'm just gonna go ahead and start things with Blaze, and they're gonna have to retain his salary, I think, because we are over budget. And that's gonna mean they're gonna want the world. Yeah. Maybe we can do it a bit differently. So if they just retain, let's see. I think if they do this and they send 10 mil in cash, which they might be a bit more willing to do. No, they hate that more. Okay, well, worth a shot. Um, let's see about that. So I'm just gonna add a couple of guys, let's say, and let's see if that helps out. No, it doesn't. Nope. Okay. So I don't think this is gonna work, if I had to guess. Um, that is tough for us. I wonder if there's someone we could send out who might help with that. Um, I mean, Story would be the obvious one, but that contract is pretty huge, and I don't know if people would be willing to take it. It might be worth trying. I don't know that I can trade him away, but we'll see. Yeah, I am gonna change that setting. Um, let's see. Ba, 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 ba. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yes. Okay. Allow trading of injured more than 7 days players. I just think that's kind of only fair. We can maybe turn it off if we start seeing some silly deals, but I think at this point the AI is advanced enough to kind of handle it. By the way, for those of you wondering, on the AI settings, I am on just normal difficulty and neutral. I haven't tested out hard mode yet. To be honest, it just seems like a little unnecessary. Like, if we think about in real life what the return might look like for Willie Adames, for like a rental of Willie Adames, I kind of doubt that it would be like Marcelo Meyer. So, um, I think that it's a way to nerf the human player without actually having to make the AI team build better. But I don't know, just haven't found it to be all that helpful yet. So if we need to turn that up in the future, we can. But for now, we'll just keep it there. We were going to try to trade you. Okay. Let's just shop around. Yeah, I didn't figure. I wonder if he just, I mean, does he add anything in that Adamas trade, I wonder? Like, if I say, hey, I'll give you him back, even if I retain, like, I don't know. Well, not that much, but if I retain like 30% of it, yeah, I mean, there's just no chance. We'd have to include prospects to give him up to somebody, so I don't think that's really the way to go. Um, Hilito we could try to trade, but that just seems silly to me. Yeah, everybody else on a large salary I'd kind of like to keep, so I think we're gonna have to miss out on Adamas for now. We could check and see if um, there's anyone else who could sort of play shortstop that we think is better than Trevor Story. Uh, no, I don't think Brandon Crawford is better, if I'm being honest. I don't know if I think Gleyber Torres is better either. He's having a terrible, terrible year. So I think we're gonna have to stand pat on that, which is disappointing for sure. But I think the salary is the main issue in that deal, so I'm not gonna be too mad about it, if I'm being honest. Um, yeah, and besides that, I don't know if there's anybody we really want. Kenyon Middleton could be nice, actually. Or Gio Gallegos. Actually, Gio Gallegos sounds pretty good. Yeah, maybe we go get two relievers instead of one. I know he's extreme fly ball, but I think he's good. You want Tyler O'Neill? That's weird. I'm not opposed to it necessarily, but I do think it's kind of strange that that's your ask, especially considering you just traded him to us. Ah, yes, I could not afford that. Of course. Of course I couldn't, because we are right up on our limit. Um, yeah, they are asking for some good players. Nathan Hickey, actually, I would be willing to trade. So that I think is fine. I know that he's like a fairly good hitter, but I mean, he's not ever going to play catcher for me because I value defense way too much at catcher. So for me, this is just Gio Gallegos for free essentially. So let's go ahead and complete that. And we could take a look if there's any starters that we might try to go after. Like, how much would we have to throw at the Blue Jays to get Jose Barrios? I mean, we couldn't afford him actually, so never mind. But yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I just don't know if we can afford any of these guys. Maybe like if Cole Reagans is good in this game. No. The White Sox maybe. Not that they have anybody anyone would want. The Angels are kind of the same way. Sandoval's been good this year. Um, no, I don't think so. Well, hold on. Let's just try it out. I mean, we're wanting to win the division here. The problem is that we're doing it on an extreme budget. Oh, they probably want Tyler O'Neill because I can't take back salary. Um, uh, yeah, I don't want to give up Rafaela. I mean, is he better than Garrett Whitlock? The ratings would say no. Kind of everything would say no. I think he's just been super unlucky. I wouldn't want to do that. Or Grissom. Let's see if I'll add like Alan Castro and just see if that helps. Yeah, Emmanuel Valdez is hitting, so I don't want to take a hitter away to find one. Nico Cavadas? I could see it. I could see it. I don't think I'm convinced, but I could see it. Um, Alex Benelis, on the other hand, that is a no-brainer. So Patrick Sandoval, I think, could be our guy. And I mean, he only theoretically should regress, although his home run rate's probably going to come up at least a little bit. So it gives us another starter. I I don't know if those are big enough moves to go say like, hey, we're gonna go win the division. But I also don't know who's out there that could do that. Like, I guess the Yankees could try to trade us Garrett Cole, but I don't think that that's gonna happen. If we look at the NL and just kind of, oops, that's not what I wanted. Uh, and just kind of try to feel it out from there. I mean, the Nationals don't have any pitchers. The Rockies don't have any pitchers. Giants have Logan Webb. That would be a big statement. I don't know that I trust him a ton in this game, but I don't not trust him. He could be an interesting one to try to put in the development lab. That contract is not ideal though. Um, Maybe it's a bigger move in my head or in real life than it would be here. Robbie Ray is also one. Uh, Pirates don't have anybody to be interested in. Maybe the Marlins do, though. Like, what about... I would be willing to give up quite a lot. I mean, I'd be willing to give up a ton to get Yuri Perez, but I think they're more likely to trade him because is he heading into his third year? No, this is his second year of arbitration, I think. So, actually, let me make sure that that is true. Oh, it doesn't keep salary history for real life. That's right. Um, yeah, I mean, this would be the like we're gonna try to win the World Series kind of move. And I'm not opposed to it. I mean, we're over our skis, but there's no reason that we can't add and then stop being over our skis. This I have to think would take Roman Anthony. Um, so let's see. I can't even take back his contract. Yeah, and Roman Anthony plus is going to be tough for me to stomach. I wonder if one of these guys they maybe just like better than the other. Like if I had Meyer, yeah. This is another thing though that's kind of good to try and do. So I think this is a fun way to look at things. So for example, I just added Marcelo Meyer. It got us a little bit closer. I don't really want to give up Marcelo Meyer, but now I've learned something. I've learned that they kind of like Garrett Whitlock and they like Tyler O'Neill. So I can kind of use that to my advantage and say, okay, well, I'm going to add Whitlock, let's say. And they say, great, it's a deal. But now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add another player to their side. Let's just say this guy. Probably not someone that good. Jacob Berry, sure. Wow, not even that good. Man, they must really like Jacob Berry. God knows why, but sure, why not? What about Victor Mesa or Victor Mesa Jr.? Yeah, so now I know what the little bit I can add is to sort of push us over the hump, right? Guys like Nick York, guys like Nathan Zanatello, like this helps us get a better understanding of what are some guys that we may not like a ton, but maybe their org likes a bit better, right? They think they can develop them or they um, like what they add to their system. Because I'm going after a pretty big player, I'm happy to add someone that I think is actually pretty good, like Nick York. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Meyer and Mesa away and just see where we're at. Teal. Mm. No, I really don't want to. I really, really don't want to. Um, it's a guy, I give you credit. It makes it hard for me to say no because I know how good the guy you're trading to me is. Is Luzardo? He's just normal injury proneness in this. So, man. Let's think about this. I think Blaise is probably the guy you'd want to move. Even though he has really high potential and he could play a good center field, he's the furthest away. So let's see where that gets us. That gets us there with the addition of Vaughn Grissom. I don't love that. But I do remember a couple of the guys that they liked, like Mikey Romero from earlier. Okay, that doesn't get us quite there. Who was someone else that they liked from earlier? I should have been paying closer attention rather than telling you about the strategy. Let's see. I want to say they liked Chase Meadroth. Very close. And now we could add Zanatello and get us there. But I'm actually looking for someone who's a little bit further away that they like. Just doesn't exist. Okay. I like Zanatello in real life, but I mean, I don't think he's a huge prospect. I wonder if we could get away with like not trading one of these guys. Like maybe we could take Blaise out now. I don't think we could. Um, let's just see though. And we could substitute Von Grissom. I don't think that's a good deal though. I don't know that that really helps us. Yeah, just looks like Blaise is the way to get it done here. So Blaise I'll add. I really do subscribe to the sort of Preller way of thinking with this sort of stuff, where it's like I'm willing to give up as many 4-star and 3-star and 2.5-star players as I need to. Because I feel like I can build depth and I can get 3-star guys pretty easily. I just don't want to trade my 5-star guys. So I don't want to get rid of Roman Anthony. I don't want to get rid of Marcelo Meyer. Anybody below that is touchable depending. Um, I mean, I think it's giving up a lot, but like this is kind of a like, hey, we're gonna go try to win the World Series move, in my opinion. He's very good. Like very, very good. Um, he's a little bit better against lefties, but he's still really good against righties. I mean, got 3+ pitches and a average one, good stamina, throws hard, plays his position well. He's only 26. This is exactly the kind of guy we need, right? Even if it does mean giving up one heck of a haul. So, and I think in real life, not this exactly, but something like this makes sense, right? They get a starter back, but they also get a ton of hitting, which is what their system tends to be missing. So I'm gonna go for it, and that means that we as a team are going for it, which is I think kind of exciting. So let's go ahead and bring some of these guys onto the active roster. We're gonna have to demote some relievers, which actually I'm just gonna waive Lucas. Sorry about it. Who else is sort of young that I might be able to just send down? You're young and I could just send you down. Okay. And now let's add you guys back into the roster. And now, if we update our staff, that looks very different. So now we've got Jansen followed by Merriweather, Gallegos in there, and then we've got Weissert in there as well as good options. Crawford moves to the bullpen, and Isaiah Campbell. That suddenly looks like an okay bullpen, if not a very good one. And then Jesus Luzardo, that's a heck of a top guy on your rotation. Patrick Sandoval, I think, is a probably a number 3 or 4, but he's okay. Bayo has potential, and Pavetta and Hauk are also there. So I really like that. I think that's a really good trade deadline for us. So I think we're gonna just steam right on through to the end of the month. And oh man, he's injured again. Maybe I should have traded for a center fielder. We're gonna have to go back and grab Corey Rozier again. And we will just make our way through the actual trade deadline. We got our business done a little bit early. People want to trade us things. No, thank you. No, thank you. I am not really that interested in Drew Smith. I gotta be honest. Am I? I'm not really, if I'm honest. All right, so that is the trade deadline. We sit top of the division after those wins. Heck of a trade deadline, in my opinion. I think that did we sacrifice a good amount of future talent? I think we did, but we looked for the right deals. We looked at the teams that maybe were open to selling, and you got to give to get. So this is a very different team now, and one that I think could challenge. And I'm hoping that Luzardo and Sandoval are young enough that they can maybe stay with us a while and help us as we build toward an actual juggernaut who is capable of winning the World Series rather than just sort of getting into the playoffs. So that's where we're going to leave episode 2. I hope you have enjoyed. Next episode, we're going to make it to the end of the season. We're going to see how our players are developing, and we might even play a playoff game if we get that far. So, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.